Our next presenter is Ann Naimark. And she's from growing up in an atheist home to wandering in the 10th grade if her parents really knew the truth about spirit, to exploring hatha yoga, reading New Age books, and taking healing classes in her 20s, all in her 20s. Anne has been on this exciting, varied journey called By Spirit into experiences of spirit. Hanging out with an Indian guru for a couple of years, meditating with the Buddhists, studying the mystics, and teachings of different disciplines. Anne explored and grew as a spiritual counselor, a spiritual person. She became a masseuse, an RN, then a marriage and family therapist. She has had a therapy practice for about 25 years. Amazing. Her soul talk is called Choose Love, Choose Life. Please put your hands together and welcome Ann Naimark.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you to breathe, like to take a really long, slow, full, complete deep breath, and then let it out. In through your nose, out through your mouth, just to clear whatever else might be lingering. And let's do that two more times. I've been working with a coach, two coaches. This is crazy. I don't know why I'm doing so much, but I am. So one coach, Eva, she has one group called Spiritual Prosperity. And some of her guides have been coaching us, and their name is Theos. And so they lead us in meditations through her. A week or two ago, they led us through a meditation about connecting with your soul. And then here I am at Soul Talks. What do you know? So I'm going to just say a little, I'm going to add to what our JG said, a little. And then at the end, I want to just do a brief meditation to see if you guys, we can connect a little more deeply to our souls, if you want. Because this is about choice. And I've discovered that in my spiritual journey, that we are in this universe in a free will zone. So you get to decide every single thing you do. Who you love, what you love, every moment. So part of my coaching right now is to pay closer and closer attention to each moment. And I'm noticing how hard that is. Like, my brain goes everywhere. Even in meditation, right? So I'm focusing, I'm like in there, I'm working on the heart and stuff, and I can feel my brain going here. And then, but as I get better at noticing, then I can bring it back. So because I'm in Aries and I've got all like 5 fires in my chart, I've always been like, let's move, let's go, let's do stuff. But recently and that's been fun. It hasn't always led me into good situations because I haven't thought about it. And then I'm in scenes where probably I shouldn't be, but that was an experience too. So they're asking me to slow way, way, way down. And they're helping me with it. So I want to, help you guys if you are interested. So I want to invite in some of the energies that will support us, in addition to that beautiful meditation, just invite in a few more energies, including all of your spiritual guides and your teachers. So I want to invite first to create a little more energetic stuff, a diamond shape of the radiant luminous light of all that is, in, through, and around, above and below each of you, and in the space. I want to bring in the blue flame armor shield of Archangels Michael and Faith, in, through, and around each of you. And you always get a choice. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. In, through, around each of you and in this space. So the Archangel Michael and Faith work with the blue energy, which has to do with divine power, which brings you into creating a choice for yourself. I realized as I was considering this that I've pretty much been led by Spirit starting really young. Like JG was saying in 10th grade, I was wondering, do my parents really know what's what here about Spirit or not Spirit? Because they were like, it's the Marxist thing. People just make it up so they can feel better. But that started when I was 15, like this question. And then, like he was saying, in my 20s, I did hatha yoga, and that opened a door for some whatever reason. And I think it was my soul, and it was Spirit and my guides saying, okay, here's an invitation, let's see. What do you want to do? And I loved it. And I just, it's a meandering path. And I made a choice based on how I felt. So my work with psychotherapy has been that too. It's based on the heart. It's based on how I felt. I lived in Cambridge, Mass. for 3 years, and for about a whole year I had this feeling that I should move to Northern California. There was no reason other than I just had this feeling, and it never went away. So I said, okay, let's do it. So that was in my kind of mid to late 20s, and I moved here, and I never left. So something was happening. When I was, to backtrack, when I lived in Cambridge, Mass., and just to talk about, when you get invited, let's say by Spirit, by your soul, to do something, there's these little indicators, right? And so part of this for all of us is, what are our indicators? What are the invitations? So I was in Cambridge, Mass., and I was sitting in the backyard eating rice one day on a beautiful day, and suddenly there was this energy that just plopped into me. And I had to put down the rice, and I had one of my first images. So it turned out to be, it was Jesus. He was sitting at the head of this long table, and there were all these other teachers on both sides. They're all working with each other. And he was talking to me, and I can't really remember what was happening, but it was really powerful, so I could just like sit there. And then he was like in this other zone, kind of touching me here, and I just had to sit there after that faded and just feel. So recently, I've kind of returned. I mean, I guess this talk is going somewhere else, and that's fine. Because at one point, I felt really drawn to the Catholic mystics, their experience, their personal relationship with the divine. And in that zone, it's all through Jesus and that connection and the Spirit, Holy Spirit and that kind of stuff. Though I had explored everything else, and all that mattered, but this was, oh, right, so I worked in, what? So I worked in San Francisco, and one day I walked into Old St. Mary's, it's a Catholic church on California Street, and I was just hit with this wall of energy. And I'm like, what the heck? So I went in and sat down. There was nobody there. It was lunchtime, and I loved the murals were beautiful, and it was just like this energy download, just power, 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 and it was sort of like an invitation. So I didn't really know what it meant, but I went there for lunch. I worked at Hitachi America as a secretary, and I would walk up the street and, just sit there. So that eventually led me into exploring Catholicism, which I actually joined the church, much to my parents' chagrin, because they kind of thought that they took me out of the will because they thought, this was terrible. And I even thought about being a nun at one point. So I lived with the Sisters of Mercy for 3 months. One summer, it was the worst summer of my life. They didn't talk to each other. I mean, it wasn't relational, which that's me. You have to have a connection. So that was that. But there was this connection that was happening. I actually didn't really feel Jesus too much in this whole sojourn. In the church, I didn't really have that connection, but I love the contemplative prayer. And so, anyway, kind of stopped going to the church. It didn't serve me after a while. And that's been this meandering, right, is these choices, like what leads you to make a choice. So for me, I just can track. It was like this invitation from the heart. It just kept happening over and over. Even what got me into psychotherapy. I was a nurse, and I worked at a hospital. And 1 week, 3 separate individual people said, I think you'd be a good counselor. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then that same week in a newspaper, I saw an ad for an orientation for a master's program to be a psychotherapist. So I went, I signed up, and I met Sandra. And that was cool. And so that was an invitation, because the universe was telling me in a different way, not just from in here, but I was getting these. So that helped me to make a choice. And it just felt right. It was just boom. And then, we've been doing this for a long time. I think we graduated around 1989, and then practices. So, and my experience with that has morphed into bringing spirituality into, because most of the clients that are showing up, and I think it's just spirit that is guiding this, most of them now are really interested in their own spirituality, and they can't find another therapist. They have stuff to work on, and they can't figure out who's going to help me with this stuff that I feel, and I don't know how to talk about it. So it's exciting to me, and sometimes we get to do energy work in the session if somebody is interested. So it just feels like this evolution, and again, it's the heart. So how do you make a decision? Yeah. So it feels like it's a good time now. Let's go inside, do a little meditation, and let's invite all of our spiritual guides and teachers that are working for our highest good in that energy of unconditional love and the consciousness of Source. And let's just ask them to assist us in this moment for what's the highest good for each of us. What do we need right in this moment? So sometimes when there's energy, just to warn you, there's like a little bit of light language that comes through, which is just another way of bringing some energy in. So I'm saying that because I can feel it right now. So I'm just going to kind of start with that, and then we'll just do a little bit of more connection with the soul. We're inviting the soul, our soul, to be with us. That bright light that JG was connecting us with. And we're looking for a soul merge so that if we so choose, we can be our soul embodied on this planet with all the magnificence that we are moving into every aspect of our life. Just feeling the I am that I am, one of our connections to Source. Inviting in whatever your intention is. Some of the beings that I've connected with lately, they call themselves the luminous ones. And they are streams of consciousness based on intentions of the divine. And we're inviting the luminous ones to come in. They're very playful. They have like a light green sparkly energy. They assist with transition, and they bring joy. They bring that connection from the heart. Like see if you can keep dropping into the heart. Into the heart. If you go off, just come back. No worries. Back to the heart, back to the heart. And if you so want to, invite the luminous ones to assist you and all of your guides. They all work together to create the highest good for yourself in this moment and all moments. Every single moment. And part of our journey is to become more and more aware of every single moment. And as soon as we're aware, the moment is gone, and there's another moment and another moment. So it's a really interesting development. But it's I am that I am. And one of the little mantras that I learned about the soul, that I'll just say, and you can use it if you like. I am the soul. I am the light divine. I am love. I am will. I am God's design. Just allowing, connecting with if it's working, if it's not working, just inviting what is your intention? What is your highest intention for yourself? What are those things that you want out of your life that you hardly would dare imagine, but you get to have them? You have that intention and you say, okay, soul, you and me, let's connect. Let's do our thing. Let's do this journey. What's going to be the most joy-filled activities, connections, work? What are going to be the things that make my heart sing? Light, light, light. Light, light, light. I am the soul. I am the light divine. I am love. I am will. I am God's design. And blessings in the bazillions to everybody and all those that show up for us, and love and gratitude in the bazillions too. Thank you, guys.